we got here?
Way back in 1996, only 1 month after completing the first Resident Evil, Capcom jumped headfirst into grinding out sequels to their critically successful first entry. Hideki Kamiya took the helm as director of the project, and Shinji Mikami took on the role of a hands-on producer. However, after creative disagreements with Kamiya and the team, he took a step back from the project and took a role as a purely overseeing producer. To retain the element of fear present in the first game, the team sought to introduce 2 new characters who had no experience in fighting zombies and throw them in at the deep end. Caught up in the chaos of a zombie outbreak in Raccoon City was Elza Walker, a college student and motorbike enthusiast visiting our hometown, and Leon S. Kennedy, a rookie cop on his first day on the... hang on a minute. Leon S. Kennedy, basically the exact same character that we ended up getting. These 2 characters were never to meet in their respective adventures and instead had a cast of supporting characters who would assist them on their journey. Featuring a smaller and more modern looking police station, the music, pre-rendered backgrounds and even the characters' clothes would change depending on in-game events and damage that was taken. At around 60% completion, however, the development team were unhappy with the game as a whole, and 3 months from their March 1997 deadline they scrapped the project, now widely referred to as Resident Evil 1.5, to start again from scratch. Making no progress with rewriting the whole script, supervisor Yoshiki Okamoto drafted in screenwriter Noboru Sugimura, an avid fan of the story from the first game. Impressed by his work solving problems, Sugimura was hired by Mikami to write the entire script for the new version of Resident Evil 2. Very little of 1.5's assets and design were carried over. The Raccoon Police Department was redesigned with a more extravagant look and feel. Elza was completely transformed into Claire Redfield, the sister of the previous game protagonist Chris, to provide a clear link to the first game. Chief Irons was rewritten into a more villainous role, and Marvin was reduced to a man who dies right at the start of the game. Leon was left unchanged because why mess with perfection, am I right? After the release of the director's cut version of the first game as an apology for the huge delay in release, Resident Evil 2 was finally available for you to get your grubby paws all over in January 1998.
I'm finally here.
Spoiler alert! Full story spoilers coming up for a 23-year-old game. If you haven't gotten around to playing Resident Evil 2 yet, why the hell not? But if you still don't want spoilers, you can skip ahead to the next section. While I can't guarantee that the footage that I'm going to show you won't have spoilers in it, at least you won't get spoiled for the big juicy story content details. Let's jam. 2 months after the spooky Spencer Mansion incident and the events of the first game, Umbrella done fucked it up again, and another T-virus outbreak has occurred, this time in the Midwestern community of Raccoon City. Sometime after the city has been ravaged by the virus and the majority of the citizens turned into zombies, rookie cop Leon S. Kennedy, late for his first day on the force, and college student Claire Redfield, looking for her missing brother Chris, arrive in town. Separated in a car crash, they decide to head to the Raccoon Police Department to look for shelter and any other survivors. Finding the last surviving police officer dying of his wounds, they discover that the chief of police, Brian Irons, is as corrupt as my hard drive full of Russian spyware and has been paid off by Umbrella to keep their experiments a secret, as well as conceal the hidden entrance to their labs through the sewers beneath the station. Claire finds and rescues a small girl, Sherry, running away from a large unknown creature who she then has to escort quest through the game. Meanwhile, Leon gets to lay the moves onto Ada Wong, a woman claiming to be a reporter looking for her missing boyfriend. After Irons is brutally killed by the creature, Claire and Sherry escape into the sewers, but are thankfully separated. Encountering the peak of the Tyrant program's research, Leon faces off against the TOO multiple times before following them down below. Held at gunpoint by a mysterious woman, Leon simps for Ada so hard he takes a bullet for her, and Ada gives chase, leaving Leon to bleed out on the floor. The woman is revealed as Annette Birkin, Sherry's mother and husband of Umbrella researcher William Birkin, who after Umbrella double-crossed him and tried to take his new strain of virus, the G-virus, left him for dead. After injecting himself with the G-virus and turning into the creature stalking Sherry, he killed the Umbrella team and accidentally released the T-virus spread to the population by sewer rats. Ada and Annette have a kind of fight that ends with Ada yeeting her over a railing. After Leon finally catches up to her, she tends to his wound. Claire and Sherry are reunited, but it's short-lived, as it turns out old Willie B has implanted an embryo in Sherry. As both duos make their way down to Umbrella's secret lab, because of course there's a secret lab, Ada is wounded by Bill, and as Leon looks for supplies to stabilise her, Claire desperately searches for a way to create a vaccine for Sherry. Annette appears to Leon and reveals that Ada is actually a spy who's trying to steal the G-virus sample in Sherry's locket, but they are interrupted by the arrival of the always-on-time Tyrant. Ada appears and is mortally wounded by the Tyrant after saving Leon, and confessing her love for him, she dies in his arms. But don't worry, Willy Wonka finally kills Annette before Claire puts him down as he rapidly mutates. Leon finally reaches the escape train, and upon powering it up has to fight the evolved T-103 Tyrant, the result of dropping the T-00 into a vat of molten metal Terminator 2 style. Assisted by a mysterious shadow that looks and sounds exactly like Ada, he destroys it and boards the train with Claire. Not giving up, Billy the Bully appears again as a quivering mass of flesh and teeth. After Leon puts him down, he finally dies when the train explodes, because of course it does. Leon, Claire and Sherry finally escape their nightmare, but vow to take down Umbrella.
You must be the new guy.
Wow, some adventure! But that's only what happens if you play Claire's story first and then follow up with Leon's. You see, as I mentioned in my video for Resident Evil 1, this other character narrative is the main selling point of the game. Coming on 2 discs, each disc contains 2 stories for each character. Canonically, Claire's A scenario is the main story. Complete this run and you're offered to save your game, which if you load that save with Leon's disc inserted, you then get to play Leon's B scenario, explaining what he was doing the whole time and linking the 2 stories together. If you were to play Leon first, some of the story aspects are changed around and Claire's B scenario plays out differently to her A scenario. It's a really cool system that makes you feel as if you're playing 2 halves of the same story, as opposed to Resident Evil 1 where the other character was just sat in a cupboard for most of the game. Gameplay wise, you do end up doing the same puzzles as both characters, but as you enter the police station from different entrances, the order of events and puzzles is nicely shuffled around to keep things fresh and keep you thinking on your feet. The core gameplay is much the same as before. Aim and shoot to kill all the enemies, search for ammo and puzzle items, and manage your limited inventory space. The health tracker makes a return, now sporting a new orange level of caution just to spice things up a little bit. But now both characters move differently depending on your health level, whereas before movement was uninterrupted. If you're on caution health, Leon and Claire will run holding their sides as if they've got a stitch. On danger level, they will slow right down and limp along, making you far more vulnerable to enemy attacks. Interestingly, each character gets a completely different weapon set to boot. Not only do Leon and Claire's pistols have different ammo capacities, Leon gets the classic weapon pack, rounding out his arsenal with a shotgun and a magnum. Claire instead gets the crossbow-like bowgun, which fires 3 bolts in a 45-degree arc per shot, making it great for crowd control, and she also gets the grenade launcher, an unmatched death machine capable of firing explosive, flame and acid rounds with no limit to how many of each type of round you can load into the gun at any one time. To make up for not having explosive death on his side though, Leon gets to upgrade his pistol, making it capable of firing 3-round bursts. He gets to upgrade his shotgun, making it so powerful it knocks him back when he fires it, and his magnum, making it drop enemies in 1 hit and dropping bosses in about 3 or 4, which I feel kind of makes him a little more OP than Claire. Ammo is still scarce and to the survival horror, but there is a lot of it hidden behind things that you can't see with the static camera positions, and once you know the locations it can be quite easy to build up a stockpile, which very drastically reduces the difficulty level.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Don't shoot! I'm a human!
But with that arsenal, you gotta have something to shoot at, right? The Hunters and Chimeras from Resident Evil 1 have been put on the subs bench to make way for more interesting new monsters this time around. First up is the Licker, a skinless humanoid creature with sharp claws and an even sharper tongue. No, not in the Shakespeare way. With their exposed brain covering their eyes, they are blind but very susceptible to sound. And also, pants-shittingly terrifying to 10-year-old me. Also new to the roster are the Ivies, a sort of Triffid-like plant monster capable of poisoning you with their acid spit and entangling you with their vines for a nice lovely cuddle. Dogs and crows make a welcome return, and of course so do the zombies, with multiple different skins this time around, which are randomly chosen upon your entry into a new room. Some are sporting the latest in 1998 fashion, whereas others are wearing the RPD uniform, a nice touch to show what happened to the fallen defenders of the precinct. There are several new death animations for zombies too. A blast from the shotgun might rip them completely in half at the waist and leave their top half crawling towards you on the floor, or a grenade might completely eviscerate one half of their torso, which I feel is a really nice touch. Can't be forgetting about the bosses either. Instead of individual T-Virus monstrosities this time around, the bulk of the boss fights are against Birkin himself. No one character fights all of his malformations, which personally I think is really cool. He'll appear to Leon, battle damaged after a fight with Claire say, and in the process of evolving into a new form which you then have to fight. It kind of really gives you the feel that he is stalking everybody through the sewers and lab complex, not just the one character. That's not to mention the Mr. X. Yes, we've all seen the memes.
X-Go!
Having him stalk the B-side character through the game makes the boss fight with his T-103 form feel like a natural conclusion and not just shoehorned in for the sake of having a tyrant fight similar to the ending of the first game. Not to mention, he is faster and more aggressive than Birkin, meaning you have to change up your tactics you've been developing throughout both playthroughs. Also, there's a giant alligator in the game and it's fucking awesome. The sounds and visuals definitely had an upgrade too. Gone is the god-awful voice acting and live-action cutscenes. The VOs are actually quite decent this time around, and the main cutscenes are now rendered in full FMV sequences. The pre-rendered backgrounds are back, as I'm sure you've seen by now, but they look far more intricately detailed than before, especially giving all the different areas of the RPD a distinct look and feel. Although the problem still remains that you can tell which corpses are corpses and which are zombies waiting to strike. The zombies have got more sounds now than before when they see you or when they get shot, which is nice, and there's often more than two in an area now as well. Not to mention the licker's raspy breathing and the clacking of their claws as they race down a hallway at you. Each weapon still has a nice meaty satisfying sound when you fire it as well. And the music. My god, the music. The composer really topped themselves with this one. Some of the tracks in Resi 1 were great at conveying suspense and unease, but the music here stands out far more. From the action-packed theme right from the start of the game as you run through the infested, burning streets of Raccoon City to the iconic main hall theme of the RPD. Each corridor has differing tracks to help spread that unease and tension, not to mention the music from the labs and the sewers making everything seem alien and new. No one piece of music lets down the soundtrack, and even the boss fight themes are perfectly tailored to the giant monster that you're about to face. Not to mention probably one of my favourite tracks in the game and maybe even the series, the escape music where you're trying to escape from the self-destruct sequence as the lab is about to explode.
It's sheer perfection. My precious G-Virus.
Backtracking a little now to the whole two sides of the same story motif I touched upon earlier, there's one system in the game that I just really wanted to talk about in this video. Known in-game as the zapping system, this is a unique gameplay mechanic that I've not seen used since, both within Resident Evil games or from any other game I've ever played. In essence, what it is a sort of invisible checklist that records certain actions you make in an A campaign scenario and reflects those choices you make in the B side. For example, once you return to Marvin, unfortunately, he's already succumbed to his fate and turned into a zombie and attacks you. If you leave him in his zombified state, he will appear in the B-file scenario in the same office room. However, if you take his head off with the shotgun, for example, he will be replaced with a regular zombie instead, implying that he was already killed by the first character to enter that room. Another famous example is the weapons locker in the basement. Basically a side quest, you can find the keycard to open the ransacked armory. The only things left inside are a submachine gun, a great weapon for bosses or taking down hordes, and a side pack which increases your inventory limit by 2, allowing you more space for items. Both are useful, however after taking one your character will state that they should leave something for the other character. Whichever you leave will be there in the B side with the one you took in the A side missing from the locker. Or both will be missing if you actually got greedy on your A playthrough. A couple of other examples include the P-Epsilon anti-BOW gas in the labs. If you activate it in the A scenario, it makes all the enemies in the labs weaker, but come the B files, the Ivies will have adapted and mutated into the more deadly poison Ivies, making your mission much harder. And finally, the lab computer. You can find and use this PC to register your fingerprint, backtrack all the way to the huge locked door in the lab, and you can partially unlock it. In the B files, you can do the same process again, and if you activated the door locks with your first character, the second character can open it and head inside to grab the goodies that have been locked away, and you get to investigate a unique room. There are many more examples and subtle changes that can occur, and it just really gives you the impression that both characters are in the same place at the same time, and I love it.
What is this thing?
So, to sum up, does the game hold up? I would definitely say so, yes. Again, being a game that came out 23 years ago, the visuals are quite dated now, but the sound design still holds up, and as far as gameplay goes, it's still as solid as ever. Taking everything from the first game that works and just improving upon it, they've really cracked open the formula for games to come, and Resident Evil 2 can stand tall with its head held high as a massive high point for the series. The game is bursting with content begging to be unlocked as well. First off, you have 4 scenarios to play through. Getting an A ranking on the A and B scenarios unlocks different unlimited ammo weapons to play around with on any subsequent playthroughs you make. Finishing both scenarios on normal difficulty unlocks the Extreme Battle minigame, a fun addition where you can play as different characters racing through the game backwards trying to find bombs to plant to stop the Umbrella monsters for good. And you get to use Hobbs! Getting an A ranking on either an A or B scenario and finishing an A and B pairing will net you the fabled 4th Survivor mode, a race against time where you play as Hunk, the last surviving member of the Umbrella security service, waking up in the sewers after he secured a G-Virus sample. In this mode, your objective is to make it to the roof of the increasingly infected RPD to complete your mission and get extracted. Oh, and you can even play as a sentient hunk of tofu as well if you like. Even Brad Vickers makes a return. Oh, sorry buddy. He's dead and a zombie. But if you lay him to rest, he drops a special key which you can use in-game to unlock special costumes for each character. Claire even gets access to a unique gun that's only available by equipping that particular costume for her. And Leon holds his gun sideways because he's an absolute G. As I said, it's bursting at the seams with content, and I regularly go back and play through the game over and over just for fun, as well as I'd like to stream it online. The visuals are the only thing that's putting you off playing this. There's the Rebirth and Seamless HD projects which aim to make the environments and character models crystal clear and the whole game looking fantastic. In closing, this is one of the best games in the Resident Evil series, and in my opinion is actually better than the 2019 remake. If you still haven't played this, go and do so now, or Willy Chestteeth will come and visit you in your sleep. Also, any game that has a note with the unintentional pun "mail to the chief" also gets a gold star in my book.
Hey, it's up to us to take out Umbrella.
Hey guys, if you're watching this, then it means you've watched the entire video, and I can't thank you enough for that, because I'm new to the whole original content thing for YouTube, and I know it's been a while since I did my Resident Evil 1 video, and I finally got back on the horse and decided to start again with the Resident Evil 2 video from scratch, and got it all figured out, and finally got this made for you. So thank you again so much for watching all the way to the end. There's a couple of outtakes coming up, but if you like this, please leave me a like and a comment, and just let me know any constructive criticism on the format, the content, what you liked, what you didn't like how I do it, if you think it can be improved in any way, please just let me know and go ahead and leave a comment. But anyway, here's some outtakes of me fucking up doing some voice recording and stuff. So thanks guys, and I will catch you in the next stream. See you later guys. These two characters were never to meet in their respective adventures, and instead had a cast of supporting characters they would meet who'd help. The last surviving member of the Umbrella Tees. The Umbrella Tees. Also, there's a giant alligator, and I fucking love it. He's cool, and I called him Senor Snappy, and I didn't mean to blow his head off. He just bit a gas tank, and then it reminded me of that being Aliens, and yeah. Extreme Battle, a fun minigame where you just enunciate your words, you twat. Also, Harbs is brilliant. From now on, I'm just going to call Herbs Harbs in every goddamn video that I make from now on. Oh, what a typo. What a typo. Also, Capcom, fuck this valve thing, okay? I know most people probably don't have trouble with this, but you need to get this valve early in the game to put out a fire, but you need to keep it in the item box, because when you get to the sewers, you need to lower a bridge, but if you don't have it, you need to backtrack to a box and then get there, but then there's herbs and ink ribbons on the other side, but you then need to raise the bridge back up, because if you wanted the stuff, you probably went back and got rid of the valve, but now you need it again to raise the bridge so you can cross it 2 rooms later, and then finally you need it again to turn off a fan so you can get back to where you started, but if your inventory's full, you can't get the medallion you need for the main puzzle.